Update on Sparks. I've kind of backed off on the work with him under saddle as I think it's becoming a physical issue. He has a leg conformation in both hind legs where he's very upright and he has really contracted tendons, which I think is causing an issue with his back and probably the reason why I'm having so many issues with him under saddle. So I've backed off on that type of work. We're trying some shoes to see if that can help relax the tendons and kind of help him a little bit, get a little bit better step so he can build the proper muscling. So right now, we'll see if if this helps him improve and if he's able to be a riding horse. He's very sweet on the ground, so we'll see. Autopilot. This week with Johnny, I've been gearing up for Carolina CIC 3-star. So I had some therapy work done on him where we had shockwave therapy done by Dr. Nash. That's been very helpful in helping maintain Johnny's fitness and keep his muscles in order. And then we went for a gallop at the North Atlanta Equestrian. They have a fabulous racetrack out there, and so I'm able to do my gallop sets and really prepare him for the upcoming 3-star that we have, which will be our last full run before Rolex. So it seems like it's right around the corner. These next few weeks are really important for the preparation for Rolex, so I really want to make sure that I have his fitness up because last year he did end up getting a little tired on cross country, and I think that also led to the 5 rails in stadium. So we're working on getting our fitness up, and hopefully we'll be better this year. For this week with Ozzie, I've started working him in the large round pen, finally due to the drier weather. He actually is doing really well with the draw cue, and this day was extremely special because his owners got to come and visit him, so that was really good for them to see him. But here I'm kind of just working on getting him to come to me, and if he doesn't, or if he gets scared or worried and wants to leave, then I put more pressure on him so he wants to kind of be with me. He is kind of funny in the fact that he sometimes feels like he wants to crawl in my lap at times. He does tend, again, he's flip-flopped a little bit. Now he doesn't want me in his right eyeball. So here he's wanting to move because I'm rubbing that stick on the pad, which is making a noise, and he didn't like it. So the minute he kept his feet still, I took the pressure away. So I am going to work on getting on him bareback, and again, you can see the sound on that pad really kind of sets him off a little bit. So I just kind of go back to jumping up and down. Some people have asked what kind of bareback pad I use. It's called a barefoot bareback pad. It's really great. Horses tend to handle it really well, and it also worked well for me on this day because sometimes with the work that I do, it causes static, and that bareback pad kind of helps. So here you can see he starts to lick and chew, which is a good sign. He's starting to relax a little bit more with me kind of hanging all over him, and he's really progressed pretty well this way. I tend to think that he's almost coming along farther when I tend to get on his back versus him on the ground. He still has some trust issues on the ground, but he is progressing slowly, so I've been really happy with him this week. So again, here I'm just kind of desensitizing, rubbing, sliding around, rubbing on his side. And then when I get off, I try to send him forward. He does feel a little stuck when I get on him, so I might start clicking to him, and nothing is happening. So he knows the click The clicking cue means to move forward. So again, you'll see I'm trying to send him forward, and I click. This is also just supposed to carry over for when I get on his back. So that's why here I'm clicking and kind of sending him at the walk, because that will help keep the motion going forward. Because the worst thing to do is when you get on one and they don't want to move, and then you ask them to move, and then you get that huge explosion. So that's why I'm kind of asking him to move forward while I get on him. It just kind of helps the movement continue on without it being an explosion. And this is kind of the best way that I've found to get them used to me being on their back while the movement is happening again. So I hop on, I hop off. I do this a couple of times, give them a slight rub. And again, I mainly work the left side in the beginning and don't necessarily flip-flop back and forth to the right side. And mainly that's a safety issue for me. I'm so used to doing it on the left side that I'm more athletic. So I found if I try to go over and do the right side while they're not quite ready for it, that can sometimes get me into a little bit of trouble. So if I'm able to do it on the side that we're both comfortable with, and I can develop the confidence on the left side, then once I get that down, I can move to the right side and build up that side as well. And they understand the concept. So again, I'm working on kind of putting pressure on his butt to make him move forward. And here I start to get some good steps forward while I'm kind of monkeying around on his back. And always give the rub. Now the whole time I talk to him in a high pitch. He's starting to attribute what a positive sound is, so that's good too. And as you notice, when I get on him, I keep my body pretty close to his neck. So this is not scary for the horse. They get used to you kind of being all over them. And I found that it works really well for later on, where if you have anything happens and you get unbalanced or uncoordinated and you fall on your horse's neck, well, because I've kind of trained them this way in the beginning, they're pretty comfortable with you kind of laying all over them per se. And there you saw he kind of got spooked by something, which can be a little unnerving, I have to say. In the beginning rides, especially when you have an older guy like he is, your adrenaline definitely gets pumping. So I'm working with kind of putting pressure on his sides, but I'm trying to not do it. He's not really willing to go forward, so I'm not going to press the issue. I'm going to hop off. I'm going to send him forward again and see if I can't get the motion going forward. And he's doing really well with me hopping up and down next to him. He almost trotted a little bit, so it's kind of like a vaulting move. And here I start to steer with my other rein like I would be on him, but I'm on the ground. And then I was able to get on, and he continues walking, which is a really good thing while I'm hanging on the side. And once he stopped, I hopped off. He licked and chewed, which was good. And then I back away, so that is a release for him a little bit. And again, I pick up that right rein to see if I can start to steer him. All this stuff on the ground really helps for when you're on your back. So then I ask for the hoe, and then we go forward. And this is where he becomes really fun, because he wants to be so soft. And that's what I'm trying to cultivate in him. And here we get some good walk steps. And, later on I can address the walking forward, but it's really important in the beginning steps that the horse becomes relaxed with your weight on them and that they don't feel any tension. So here I'm able to sit on him. He did move forward. Like, he doesn't mind the weight on his back at all, but I'm not quite willing to just go at putting my leg pressure on him yet, so you'll see my legs are really far off. I'm just using voice cues right now and steering a little bit. And I felt like this was a really good stopping point for that. So I just hopped off and gave him a rub. This is his owner, Ainsley. And the thing about training another horse is that another owner's horse is you have to help teach the horse to want to be with the owner. So Ozzie is kind of attached to me a little bit. So I had Ainsley come into the pen and we worked on the following the new person game. So I'm asking Ozzie to kind of get into her space a little bit so he can start to feel comfortable. And he's figured out the game pretty quickly, I have to say. It was pretty fun. And I was able to direct Ainsley in how to move her shoulders. And he was very willing to follow, which was very good. This is kind of the way I introduced him to her because, again, he's still pretty flighty about strangers or new people. So this way I'm able to introduce him to her in a pretty positive way for him. There you see he got a little spooked and wanted to leave, so I'm going to put pressure on him to send him back to her because that's where he's safe. And then I take the pressure off, and then he realizes he wants to be right next to her. While still giving her space, it's still important to have a little bit of a bubble, even when you have a horse that's reluctant to kind of be with you. But again, he's licking and chewing, and he's figured out the game. He's a really cool horse. I'm really excited for him. And so here I have Ainsley go to touch him. Now it's important because if she was to turn her shoulders, he would send away. That type of pressure is pretty strong on him still. So that's why I had her back to him to touch his shoulder and give him a rub so he can just start to associating her touch, her feel, her smell with it being really positive. We just kind of end the session with her just rubbing him. And another relaxation cue I tend to use on my horses is playing with the forelock a little bit. Rub their face and do the forelock. And that's what she does, and he starts to relax a little bit. And it was a good day.